You keep calling yourself lazy. You keep saying you've lost your drive, your spark, your motivation. But let me tell you something. You're not lazy. You're exhausted. Not the kind of exhaustion that a nap or a vacation can fix. No. This is the exhaustion that lives deep in your bones. The kind that silence can't quiet. The kind that doesn't go away no matter how much coffee you drink or how early you wake up. You're tired because you've been carrying too much for too long. Tired of pretending you're okay when you're not. Tired of smiling when everything inside you is screaming. Tired of being the strong one, again and again and again. Every time something broke, you held it together. Every time someone needed you, you showed up. Every time life demanded more, you gave what little you had left, until there was nothing left for you. But no one saw it, did they? No one saw how much it cost you just to get out of bed. No one saw the nights you stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, battling thoughts that wouldn't stop tearing you apart. They call it laziness because they can't see the war inside you. Because your pain doesn't look dramatic enough for them to recognize it as pain. Because they don't understand that burnout isn't just physical. It's emotional. It's spiritual. It's soul deep. You're not avoiding life. You're trying to survive it. You're not procrastinating. You're paralyzed by invisible weight. You're not losing. You're fighting battles that others will never even know existed. Tell me, how can a body run when the mind has been sprinting for years? How can a heart keep giving when it's been shattered 100 times and stitched together with nothing but willpower? They told you to push harder, to try more, to get your act together. But they never asked what it cost you just to try. Because the truth is, you've been strong for too long. You've been surviving for so long that survival became your normal. And now that your body is begging for rest, you mistake that call for weakness, when in reality, it's wisdom. Your exhaustion is not proof of failure. It's proof of effort. It's proof that you've been fighting a war too heavy for one heart to carry. And the worst part? You blame yourself for slowing down. You call yourself lazy because it's easier to believe that than to admit how deeply you've been hurt. But listen, you are not the problem. You are the result of too many storms weathered without shelter. You are the product of a world that praises productivity and shames pause, that rewards pretending and punishes feeling. You don't lack ambition. You lack safety. You don't lack purpose. You lack peace. And you don't need to be fixed. You need to be free. Free from the noise. Free from the expectations. Free from the guilt of being human in a world that forgets what humanity feels like. So no, you're not lazy. You're worn down from the weight you were never meant to carry alone. You've been the light for too many people without realizing your own flame was dimming. You've been the listener, the helper, the healer, but no one asked what healing you would take. And now, you're running on empty, not because you're weak, but because you've given too much of yourself to survive. In a world that doesn't always give back. So stop calling it laziness. Call it what it really is. Emotional exhaustion. Call it a body that's begging for rest. A soul that's been whispering, "Please let me breathe." Because the weight you can't name is not a lack of discipline. It's the cost of feeling everything too deeply for too long. And the moment you stop fighting that truth, the moment you allow yourself to rest without shame, that's when the healing begins. Not when you push harder, not when you force productivity, but when you finally whisper to yourself, "It's okay, I've carried enough." There's a kind of exhaustion that hides behind a smile. The kind that looks like fine on the outside, but feels like drowning on the inside. That's silent burnout. It doesn't announce itself with chaos or collapse. It sneaks in quietly, through the sighs you ignore, the sleep you skip, the moments you tell yourself, "I'll rest later." You start with passion, a fire in your chest, a hunger to grow, to do, to prove. You push because you've been told that's what strength is. Keep moving, keep grinding, keep going no matter how it feels. But somewhere along the way, the fire turned to smoke. The things that once made you feel alive now feel like obligations. The joy you used to feel got buried under the weight of should. And what once felt like purpose now feels like pressure. You call it a rough patch. You tell yourself it's just a phase. But deep down, you know something inside you has started to dim. Because burnout isn't loud. It's slow. It's quiet. It doesn't happen overnight. It builds, little by little, until one day you wake up and realize you can't remember the last time you truly felt present. You wake up tired. You move through the day on autopilot. Every conversation feels rehearsed. Every task feels heavy. And yet you keep going because you're scared of stopping. You tell yourself, if I just push a little harder, things will get better. But they don't. Because the truth is, you don't need more effort. You need more space. You built your life like a machine. Constant output, constant noise, constant expectations. But you forgot that even machines overheat. Even engines burn out. You've been taught that rest is weakness. That slowing down means you're falling behind. But no one told you that burnout is the quiet death of passion. That the longer you ignore your limits, the more your soul begins to shut down in protest. You see, burnout doesn't just steal your energy. It steals your joy, your creativity, your ability to care. You start doing things just to get them done. Not because they mean something, but because you're terrified of what will happen if you stop. You post, you perform, you show up. But inside, you're empty. You've turned your existence into a checklist. And the more you achieve, the less you feel. Because burnout teaches you how to survive, but it also teaches you how to stop living. And here's the cruel part. No one claps for the burnout. No one thanks you for the nights you stayed awake, for the parts of yourself you gave away quietly just to meet expectations. They only see the product, not the price. But I'll tell you this, you don't need to earn your worth through exhaustion. You don't need to suffer to prove your strength. You don't need to burn to be bright. You're allowed to rest before you break. You're allowed to pause without justifying it. You're allowed to rebuild without guilt. Rest is not the enemy of progress. It's the foundation of it. Because the truth is, nothing grows under constant strain. Even the sun sets to let the world breathe. So stop glorifying exhaustion. Stop worshiping busyness as if it's virtue. Start honoring your limits. Start listening to your fatigue instead of fighting it. Your body is not betraying you. It's begging you to slow down. Your mind isn't weak. It's wounded. And your heart isn't cold. It's tired of giving more than it receives. Burnout doesn't mean you've failed. It means you've tried too hard for too long in a world that never told you it was okay to rest. You don't need to be more productive. You need to be more present. So breathe. For once, don't rush to the next thing. Sit with yourself. Feel the weight you've been avoiding. And remind yourself, you're not falling behind. You're just finding your way back to peace. Because the quiet truth about burnout is this: you don't come back from it by doing more. You come back from it by remembering who you were before you got tired. No one really sees it, do they? The war that happens behind your calm face. The fight you wage every morning just to get up, to move, to exist in a world that feels like it's pulling you apart from the inside out. They see your stillness and call it laziness. They see your silence and call it disinterest. But they don't see the storm inside your chest, the constant, restless hum of thoughts that won't stop clawing at you. You wake up already behind, already guilty, already tired of apologizing for something no one even understands. You tell yourself, I'll do better tomorrow. I'll get back on track. But tomorrow comes, and that same heaviness greets you again. A weight that no one else can feel, a fog that doesn't lift just because the sun is shining. And still you blame yourself. You think you're weak. You think you lack discipline. But you're fighting an invisible battle. And that battle is called being human in a world that never slows down. It's the constant noise inside your head, the doubts that whisper you're not enough, the regrets that replay every mistake, the anxiety that asks, what if you fail again? You wear a smile because it's easier than explaining. You say, I'm fine. Because people prefer lies that comfort them over truths that make them uncomfortable. So you carry it, quietly, politely, like a soldier hiding his wounds under his uniform. But inside, you're screaming for a moment of peace, for a moment where you can stop pretending you're strong and just be. This is the part no one sees. When you're alone with yourself, when you stare at the ceiling and feel your heart beating, not with excitement, but with exhaustion. When your mind replays every unfinished dream, every missed chance, and tells you you've wasted your potential. But you haven't wasted anything. You've been surviving. And survival is not small. It's sacred. You've been fighting against your own thoughts, your own fears, your own history. You've been battling a darkness that others would crumble beneath. And yet here you are, breathing, trying, even if it's just barely. You see, most people think strength is loud. They think it's about winning, conquering, achieving. But true strength is quiet. It's getting up when no one's watching. It's continuing to care in a world that has made you numb. It's the silent decision to keep living, even when part of you doesn't see the point. That's courage. That's resilience. That's what they'll never understand. They'll never know how much energy it takes just to exist when your mind keeps dragging you into old memories, when your heart keeps reopening wounds it never had time to heal. But listen, you're not your thoughts. You're not your lowest moment. You're not the fear that whispers you're too far gone. You are the one fighting back, the one who refuses to surrender even when no one claps for you. And I know, it feels lonely. It feels unfair. It feels like you're losing. But every breath you take in defiance of that darkness is a victory the world will never see. So no, you're not lazy. You're wounded. You're recovering. You're fighting an invisible battle with no audience, no applause, no rest. But every time you choose to keep going, even if it's messy, even if it's slow, you're proving that your spirit is stronger than your pain. So give yourself credit for that. You don't have to win every day. You just have to keep showing up to the fight. Because one day, the noise in your head will quiet. The fog will lift. And you'll realize something powerful. The war you were fighting wasn't against the world. It was against your own disbelief in your worth. And the moment you remember who you are, the battle begins to end. There comes a moment, quiet, almost imperceptible, when you realize you can't keep living like this. When the exhaustion turns from a whisper to a roar. When your reflection starts to feel like a stranger. When pretending doesn't work anymore. This is the turning point. It doesn't come with fireworks or revelation. It comes in silence. In that one deep breath when you finally admit, I can't keep giving myself away like this. You've been too kind for too long, too patient with people who mistook your love for weakness, too forgiving of those who drained you and called it connection, too loyal to environments that thrived on your self-abandonment. You've been the healer in rooms full of wounds, the calm in storms that weren't yours to weather, the giver in conversations where your own needs were swallowed whole. And somewhere along the way, you convinced yourself that being needed was the same as being loved. But now, you're beginning to see the truth. You can't pour from an empty soul. You can't keep setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. You can't keep sacrificing your peace just to earn a place in people's chaos. And the hardest part? Letting go of the illusion that saving everyone else will save you. Because it won't. It never did. You were never meant to be the constant savior, the endless well, the unshakable one who never asks for anything in return. It's not noble to abandon yourself for love. It's not selfless to shrink so others can feel tall. It's not strength to keep holding on to what keeps breaking you. You've mistaken endurance for purpose. You've mistaken tolerance for peace. But true peace, real peace, doesn't require you to bleed quietly in the name of understanding. It requires you to choose yourself, again and again and again. That's what the turning point really is. Not some grand transformation, but a quiet rebellion. A decision to stop betraying yourself. A decision to say, no more. No more pretending that exhaustion is ambition. No more glorifying the grind that's killing your spirit. No more shrinking your truth to make others comfortable. You are not here to survive everyone else's expectations. You are here to come alive. And to come alive, you'll have to disappoint some people. You'll have to walk away from the familiar. You'll have to stop explaining your softness to those who profit from your silence. But that's how freedom begins. With discomfort, with solitude, with a radical act of honesty. I deserve to rest. I deserve to heal. I deserve to begin again. You are not falling apart. You are unfolding. You are shedding everything that no longer fits the person you're becoming. You are remembering the voice beneath all the noise, the one that's been whispering all along. It's time. Time to stop chasing what drains you. Time to stop proving what you've already proven 1,000 times. Time to start living for the version of you who's been waiting in the shadows. The one who's not afraid to rest, to speak, to say no, to start over. You've spent years holding on out of fear. Now you're learning that letting go is not loss. It's liberation. Because the moment you stop clinging to what's breaking you, your hands become free to build what's meant for you. This is where the fire begins to return. Not the frantic burn of survival, but the slow, steady flame of self-respect. You start choosing peace over performance, stillness over chaos, healing over hustle. And little by little, you stop living in reaction to your pain and start living in alignment with your power. This is the turning point. When exhaustion becomes awakening, when survival becomes strength, when silence becomes self-respect. You are not giving up. You are rising differently. Not to please, not to prove, but to be. To finally reclaim your energy, your boundaries, your breath. To finally become someone who doesn't beg to be seen. Because you finally see yourself. This is where the old you ends, and the real you begins. And then one day, without warning, you wake up. Not to the sound of alarms, not to the weight of deadlines, but to a stillness that feels different. For the first time in a long time, the heaviness in your chest doesn't feel permanent. fog starts to lift, and you can finally breathe. It doesn't happen in an instant. It happens in fragments, in small, quiet victories that no one will ever see. In the morning, you make your bed again. In the walk you take just to feel the air touch your face. In the moment you realize you laughed, genuinely, without forcing it. That's when you know you're not broken anymore. You're becoming, because healing doesn't arrive like thunder. It's a whisper, a shift, a slow remembering of everything you buried to survive. You start noticing yourself again, the way your body feels when it's not tense, the way silence no longer scares you, the way peace begins to feel like home instead of an unfamiliar guest. And for the first time, you stop chasing energy from others. You start creating it within yourself. Because now you understand. You were never lazy. You were never weak. You were simply depleted. And the only cure for depletion is not discipline. It's restoration. You've learned that rest is rebellion in a world that profits off your burnout. That gentleness is strength, not softness. That stillness doesn't mean you've stopped. It means you're gathering power. You've stopped apologizing for slowing down. You've stopped feeling guilty for wanting peace. You've stopped begging for validation from people who never saw your quiet effort, your silent endurance, your hidden fight. And now, you rise, not with rage, but with grace. Not to prove anything, but to embody everything you've learned. You move differently now. Steady, deliberate, sure. Because you've walked through hell. And you finally understand that not all fire destroys. Some fire forges. You start to rebuild, but not like before. This time, you build with boundaries. This time, you build from peace, not pressure. This time, you build a life that doesn't demand you to disappear inside it. You've stopped mistaking chaos for purpose. You've stopped mistaking busyness for meaning. You've stopped mistaking exhaustion for strength. Because now, your strength is quieter. It's in the way you say no without guilt. It's in the way you walk away from what drains you. It's in the way you protect your energy like it's something sacred. Because it is. And it took everything, every heartbreak, every betrayal, every sleepless night, to learn that you never needed to become more. You just needed to return to who you were before the world told you otherwise. You're rising not as a new person, but as the real one. The one who existed before the exhaustion, before the expectations, before the pretending. And the world? It won't understand. They'll see your calm and call it distance. They'll see your silence and call it coldness. They'll see your boundaries and call it arrogance. Let them. Because they don't know what it cost you to find peace. They don't know what it took to walk through fire and come out softer, not harder. You owe no one an explanation for your healing. You owe no one an apology for your rise. Because you've earned this. You've earned the right to rest. You've earned the right to rebuild. You've earned the right to say, this is who I am. And this time, I'm not disappearing to make anyone comfortable. So stand tall, breathe deep, look at the scars that once made you ashamed, and see them now for what they are. Proof. Proof that you endured. Proof that you rose. Proof that you didn't give up when everything inside you told you to. You are not lazy. This is your moment, your reclamation, your awakening.